Hello, and welcome to this week's show of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Jablonski, joined by our forecaster for this week's show, Stuart Dougherty. So, Stuart, it's been another Jekyll and Hyde week for weather, but what can we expect for the weekend?
Well, MJ, we've seen Mr. Hyde made his appearance well known over Center County this week. However, I do see Dr. Jekyll introducing himself and staying over for the weekend. And I'll be talking about that, the game against Villanova, and more in my upcoming forecast.
All right, well, I look forward to hearing those details. But first, we have Nature in the News, where for this week, I'll be doing stories on efforts being made to save an ancient trees and a phenomenon I can only describe as space lightning. How about you, Stuart?
My Nature in the News stories are on new paint saving energy and a new look at new freight transportation. We also have a feature from Brian who'll be talking about riptides.
But first, here is Nature in the News.
Many families use paint to color up a room, wall, or easel. Now, a fourth reason could be added to the list: energy saver. Scientists at Purdue University designed a white paint to deflect sunlight away from homes during the summer. The paint has a reflectivity rate of 98.1%. Current commercial white paint reflects between 80 and 90%. The inverse of this paint, called Vantablack, absorbs 99.9% of sunlight. What makes this paint able to reflect? Barium sulfate. It's a white compound that is reflective when mixed into a paint. Also, barium sulfate has a non-uniform shape, which allows it to scatter sunlight. However, if the concentration is too high, the paint will easily chip and peel. When tested outside, the paint-kept surface is 19 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the air temperature at night, and 8 degrees Fahrenheit warmer or cooler during the day under direct sunlight during the noon hour. Scientists estimate that 1,000 square feet of paint will save the average household around 10 kilowatts of power, the same amount of energy that an air conditioner would use. It would be great to see people save money on their energy bills.
As wildfires continue to occur throughout the western United States, efforts are being made to protect one of nature's most famous landmarks. Firefighters in California are taking precautions to protect the great trees of Sequoia National Park. These trees measure as tall as 275 feet and as wide as 36 feet, making them the largest trees by volume in the world. While Sequoia National Park has only been in place since 1935, the trees within it are over 2,000 years old. Sequoias are no strangers to fire, as it turns out. The thick, spongy bark of the tree helps insulate itself from heat damage, and the massive height of the tree means that the higher branches that produce seeds are safe. The recent wave of wildfires, however, is proving to be too intense for even the mighty sequoias. In order to protect the sequoias from intense flames, firefighters are using protective foil blankets to shield the bases of the trees. The blankets are expensive to produce and use, but the ageless wonders that they're protecting can be considered as being priceless. Hopefully the arrival of cooler weather will not only aid the trees, but help deal with the root of the wildfire problems.
A coalition of the Genesee and Wyoming G&W Railroad, manufacturer WabTech, and Carnegie Mellon University are teaming up to decarbonize freight rail transportation. The coalition will test and develop a new generation of electric and hydrogen fuel cell powered locomotives. These locomotives share similar traits to the General Electric Evolution series used throughout the United States and around the world. The coalition will be using the G&W's Buffalo and Pittsburgh line between Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and Buffalo, New York. This region has different terrain and extreme weather contrasts, allowing the coalition to see the way the engine will perform in different scenarios. This is the second hybrid locomotive project developed by WabTech. Their first model is used by the Roy Hill Mining Project in Western Australia. These locomotives, called Flex Drive, operate at a 2.4 kilowatt hour power, saving 6,200 gallons of diesel fuel and 69 tons of carbon dioxide from burning into the atmosphere. WabTech's goal is to increase the Flex Drive to operate at 7 kilowatt hours. This will decrease the fuel consumption by another 30%. The coalition hopes to have the new prototype within 3 years. Hopefully, these freight trains will still have their charismatic roar as they make their appearance.
In a previous edition of Whether or Not, I talked about a phenomenon which I dubbed as a space hurricane. Fittingly, another phenomenon has recently presented itself as a sequel, space lightning. The lightning in particular is actually referred to as a blue jet and isn't exactly new. Aircraft have observed this phenomenon for years, but the limited ability to record data from the stratosphere has prevented scientists from fully understanding how blue jets occur. Luckily, instruments aboard the International Space Station happen to be in the right place at the right time, and with sufficient data on the matter, scientists have now determined that blue jets are indeed a form of lightning. The lightning bolts travel from the tops of thunderclouds into the stratosphere, spanning 30 miles in a matter of seconds. The blue hue of the bolt is due to an abundance of nitrogen in the stratosphere. More research is being done on blue jets to see the effect they have on radio interference. So, however wild the conditions which occur in space are, one can only hope that they stay in space.
Well, as MJ and I alluded earlier, it has been a Jekyll and Hyde-like pattern for this week. We've seen Mr. Hyde for a majority of the past couple of days. Now it's time for the Dr. Jekyll pattern to come in for the weekend. Taking a look at Friday, we have our Mr. Hyde cold front. It has slid over into the New England region. It's going to stay over there for a majority of the weekend. It's a slow mover, bringing a couple showers to eastern Pennsylvania and the New England area. And they have another cold front sitting in the northern plains and upper Great Lakes region. But the big factor for us here in central Pennsylvania is this high pressure system sitting in central West Virginia, bringing in sinking air motion and keeping the rain showers from both fronts at bay. Make a beautiful day on Friday. Saturday looks to be just as beautiful, if not more beautiful. The cold front that Mr. Hyde will turn into a stationary front. And this cold front from the Great Lakes will slowly traverse east. It will weaken, however, the further east it goes. And now the high-pressure system has traversed further south. It is out of the viewing range. However, it will keep things nice, especially for the game day against Villanova, noon kickoff. And looking at Sunday, the high-pressure system comes back up north into northeastern Kentucky, keeping those showers at bay. That front will have traversed over Pennsylvania. However, it has continued the weekend, and I expect maybe a couple of clouds Saturday night. Not much in terms of precipitation. Game time Saturday, kickoff at noon against Villanova. Looks to be partly sunny and pleasant, perfect for tailgating or hanging out with friends or having a little watch party. And so in summary, we're looking at a high of 64 on Friday, mostly sunny skies, perfect weather for kids coming home from school and wanting to enjoy the weekend. Calm conditions Friday night, especially for high school football. It looks to be great. Saturday looks to be the best day of the weekend. High of 70. I call it strolling weather because I think it's one of those few days that comes every year. I have more fingers on my hands than these days that happen. Nice for those who want to go outside, walk, hang out with friends. I think it's going to be a perfect day. And it's going to transition into a tranquil night with a couple of clouds and a low of 50. And for our nice, sweet Sunday, we're looking at temperatures right around 68, which is average for this time of year, with a high of 68. Coming up will be a feature on riptides by our own Brian Michigan.
Every single year, people from all over the world flock to the coastlines during the summer seasons. The bright sunshine and warm ocean waters can be quite an attractive way to spend vacation time. However, there are dangers involved along the shore, even on the most beautiful of beach days. The danger is rip currents. According to the United States Life Saving Association, a rip current is a channelized current of water flowing away from the shore. The reason that these currents form the way they do is because when waves break on a shallow portion of the shoreline, the water needs to funnel back out to sea using the deepest channels. Rip currents can be found at any beach, at any location, all over the world. However, they are most common at beaches with these sandbar-like features where they're easily able to form between them. Additionally, they can be found along jetties and piers. These currents are extremely dangerous to beachgoers because they pull swimmers away from the shoreline into deeper water, where a non-experienced swimmer could begin to struggle to stay afloat. Along with this, rip currents are very unpredictable and can form at a moment's notice, especially if there is high surf. The United States Life Saving Association found that nearly 80% of all rescues done by lifeguards are caused by rip currents, and they even found that on average, there are over 100 deaths per year in just the United States alone caused by rip currents.
Despite the unpredictability of these rip currents, there are several things you can look out for on the beach or in the water to help keep you safe while enjoying the ocean. One of these characteristics is a section of darker water in between areas of white water. These sections of the ocean look much calmer than the surrounding ocean, but do not let that fool you, because this water is actually flowing back out to sea. Another way to spot them is discoloration in the water. Typically in a rip current, the water is going to be a lot more turned up, meaning that the water will look brownish from the sand. Finally, if you spot choppy areas where waves do not seem to be breaking, that could also be an area you should avoid swimming. In order to further ensure your safety while enjoying the beach, here are a few things you can do before entering the water. The first thing is to always swim at a beach that has lifeguards on duty. The USLA has determined that the chance of a person fatally drowning while attending a beach that is guarded is about 1 in 18 million. Secondly, always ask lifeguards about the conditions and if it's safe enough to swim. And thirdly, most importantly, know your limits. Make sure you're confident with your swimming abilities before entering. And if you're not confident, learning in a pool is the best way you can start.
If the situation arises that you do get caught in a rip current, it is important to know a few tips that could help save your life. The first thing you must do is relax. Do not panic. Panicking will only make things worse as it will cause you to frantically try to swim against the current, which will drain your energy. Rip currents are not capable of pulling you under the water, they only pull you out further into the ocean. Next, try swimming parallel to the beach. Doing this will help you swim out of the rip current and towards the nearest breaking waves and sandbars, which could help get you back to shore. If swimming parallel to the beach does not work, the next best thing you can do is let the rip current take you out until it is no longer pulling you. Then swim parallel to the shore until you're far enough away from the rip current and then swim back in. It is also a good idea to wave your arms in the air when you're stuck in a rip current to help grab the attention of lifeguards or other beachgoers that you are in trouble so that you can have someone come and rescue you. The next time you are planning on taking a trip to the beach, whether it's to New Jersey, Florida, Australia, or even the Caribbean, it is crucial to know the dangers of rip currents and what to do if you ever get caught in one. Having more ocean awareness could help keep you, as well as others, safe while enjoying the waves. From Whether or Not, I'm Brian, Michigan.
The extended forecast takes us into next week, which starts the month of October, and it looks to be rather mild. But first, we have to get through this weekend. We have this Dr. Jekyll-like pattern bringing in absolutely gorgeous conditions for the weekend. Great for those of you going to a football game or a religious event over the weekend. And transitioning into the extended forecast, temperatures seem to just go up and down a couple of degrees each day. Our average high for this time of year is 67. By the time we reach Friday, October the 1st, golly, where did the month of September go? It will be right around 66. A couple of showers here or there Monday, Thursday. Not much in terms of widespread. The percentage seems to be less than 50%. Coming up, MJ and I will have your whiz quiz answer.
Thanks, Stuart. And now for the whiz quiz question. Approximately how old is the largest tree in the world? Is it A, 250 years old, B, 500 years old, C, 1,000 years old, or D, 2,500 years old?
And the correct answer is D, 2,500 years old. Wow, MJ, that's more than 2 millennium years of experience. To think of all the historical civilizations and people that I got to witness. And I thought tortoises had long lifespans.
Yeah, I mean, I feel ancient after 2 decades of existence. But anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Whether or Not. Be sure to join us next week. But until then, I'm MJ.
And I'm Stuart. Have a great weekend.